What you'll need for this project is parchment paper, an empty candle jar, Mod Podge, a foam brush, glitter, ribbon, bells, colored beads, white spray paint, white caulking, a caulking gun, and party bags. The first thing you want to do is coat the inside of the glass jar with Mod Podge. You don't want to put too much Mod Podge on, it tends to get a little clumpy once you add the glitter, but you want to make sure that you have thin, even coats all the way up to the rim, just to make sure that the glitter sticks really, really well. Once you've completed coating the glass jar with Mod Podge, you want to add glitter. I like to do a little bit at a time, turning the glass jar on its side just to make sure that I get an even coat all the way around. You also want to make sure that once you've added all your glitter, you shake it off just to make sure that there's no extra glitter on there. Those tend to get stuck on whatever it is you're putting inside, so you want to make sure that everything is nice and stuck onto the Mod Podge. Once that step is complete, this is what it'll look like. The next thing you want to do is spray paint the top. I would recommend doing multiple light, thin layers of spray paint. The next thing you want to do is the frosting part of the cupcake jar. I always like to try out the caulking gun first on a separate sheet of paper just to make sure that the pressure and the amount of product that's coming out is what I want. I also start around the edges and work my way in. I find that's the easiest way to do it. You also want to make sure that there's not a lot of space or gaps between the caulking. It just makes it look neater and more of a cupcake shape. Once you've completed that, you want to use your bell as your cherry on top. While your caulking's still wet, you want to add your colored beads, which represent the sprinkles of a cupcake. You can add as few or as many as you prefer. It's all personal preference, but you want to make sure that you leave this drying overnight. Now you want to grab your ribbon and cut it to size. I like to use hot glue. You can use super glue. It all depends on your own personal preference. Just make sure that it's nice and tight all the way around the jar. Now set it aside and let it dry. You want to do your bow. You want to cross the ribbon over like this to make this shape. You want to hot glue or super glue it together. Once you've done that, you want to bring the center into the crossing like this and hot glue or super glue it together. Your bow should look something like this. Now you want to grab a bead and a little bit of hot glue and glue it to the center of the bow. Now that the bow is completed, wherever you started the ribbon on the jar is where you want to hot glue the bow to it. And it turns out like this. Once your cupcake jar is completely dry, you want to go ahead and take the top off. Set it aside and go ahead and grab a party bag, a twisty tie, and whatever it is you're going to fill it. In this case, I'm using candy, Hershey Kisses to be exact. You want to fill the bag halfway just to make sure that it fits in your jar. Twist the tie and go ahead and put it in your jar. This makes an awesome birthday present or just a friendly gift.